Hi guys, welcome back to Unfiltered. Now, before we dive in, yes, this is officially a sequel. Last week we started talking about self-doubt, and I promised a series on mental health. So, like in Hollywood Part 2, here we are. Don't worry, no one loses their memory on this one. Today we are talking about something that often shows up right after self-doubt: imposter syndrome. Now, quick breakdown. Self-doubt says, I don't think I can do this. Imposter syndrome says, even though I did it, I don't deserve to be here. You see the difference, yeah? They are cousins, but not twins. You can push past self-doubt to start something, but imposter syndrome sneaks in when you've already achieved something. And that's why it's so sneaky and exhausting. Let me be real here. Starting this podcast wasn't some meticulously planned thingy. It was impulsive because I've always wanted to start one. But that day, I just thought, fuck it, let's do this. And somehow, I pushed past the self-doubt and, got it out there. But after a few episodes, particularly when we hit the 250 streams benchmark, after like 6 episodes, imposter syndrome showed up. And it's hard, because I legit thought, who sent me? Who's even going to keep listening? What if I mess up? What if I don't sound deep enough? And two things pulled me out of that spiral. So first, a special shout out to Point Made and a few other friends. These guys kept listening, commenting, and engaging every single episode. Even the ones where the audio was super or I stumbled over my words, Their consistent support made me feel almost indebted in the best way, because I couldn't just quit knowing they were showing up every week. And second, a friend randomly, came across the podcast and she texted me asking if I was the one behind it. I said yes. And she told me something that stuck. She said at first she thought it was going to be just another common, say whatever's trending type of thingy. But then she actually listened. So I was like, what episode did she listen to? And she said she listened to every single one of them. I was surprised at how thoughtful and real it was. I remember thinking, yes, this is exactly what the podcast is meant to be. And that moment grounded me again, because the whole point of this podcast is not to sound deep, it's not to perform, but to be a companion for the regular youth trying to navigate life. And moments like that reminded me that I'm still on track. And that's the thing. As long as I hold on to that purpose, imposter syndrome doesn't get to win, But let's be honest. Imposter syndrome doesn't just pick on me. It picks on all of us. A lot of us really. Because we grew up in a culture where failure equals disgrace. Now add social media to the mix, where everyone is flexing highlights and nobody is posting their breakdowns. And suddenly, even your wins don't feel enough. And if you are like me, you've probably compared yourself to someone who looks more together and thought, maybe I don't belong here. That's where imposter syndrome thrives. In the quiet doubts after small wins. Here is the thing about imposter syndrome. It's a loop, right? First, the self-doubt. Then, say you find a way to beat the self-doubt and achieve something anyway. You then proceed to downplay it as luck or mistake. And of course, self-doubt creeps in again. It's like, even when Spotify approved this podcast, I thought maybe they pressed the wrong button. Because it was very fast. I didn't know that's how it works, And that's how sneaky imposter syndrome is. So, how do we fight it? here's what has been working for me. First is to name it. I literally say, okay, Yusuf, this is imposter syndrome talking, relax. Second, I try to keep receipts, I look back at the milestones, the first episode, first comment, 250 streams. And for some reasons, we haven't reached 500 streams yet. Why, guys? These are proof that I'm not a fraud. You get. And then one important thing is the community, points made, like I mentioned, my friends, people that, share it with their friends. That listener who texted me, they reminded me that this actually matters. And finally, separate feelings from facts. Feeling like I don't deserve something is not the truth. The fact is that I showed up, I put in the work. And here is why this matters. Imposter syndrome is not a weakness. It's a mental weight a lot of high achievers, creatives, and even students carry. Because you're not broken for feeling it. I put it to you that you are human. This is part of our larger conversation about mental health struggles. We started with self-doubt, now imposter syndrome. Next, we'll talk about something that definitely aligns with this. What it is, I don't really know yet, like right now. Because these are the things that quietly shape our life, and we need to address them. So if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, I'm a fraud, I don't belong here, hear me clearly. You are not a mistake. You are proof of growth. And the next time that fraud in the mirror starts talking, just tell him, Oga, calm down. I belong here. So if this episode spoke to you, I think you should share it with someone who needs to hear it. And as always, keep your hearts unfiltered. See you next week for the next sequel. Bye, guys.